Hello everyone, welcome to the Thinker's Corner. Today we have with us a remarkable filmmaker, Seral Murmu, a 34-year-old filmmaker hailing from Gadsila in East Singhbhum district of Jharkhand. He is a passionate storyteller dedicated to representing the diverse narratives of his tribal community. He pursued his BA in mass communication and video production from St. Xavier's College, where he had the privilege of being mentored by acclaimed documentary filmmakers Biju Topp and Meghnath. Under the guidance of Topo and Meghnath, who became his gurus in filmmaking, Seral not only honed his technical skills but also developed a profound understanding of the Adivasi issues that would become a central theme in his work. This transformative experience led him to join the organization Akhra, where he delved into the intricacies of cinema as the first stage of his creative journey and was introduced to the vast landscape of world cinema. Seral's commitment to storytelling and addressing societal concerns led him to further pursue his education at the Film and Television Institute of India (FTII). His academic endeavors solidified his foundation in filmmaking, setting the stage for a promising career. Among Seral's notable works are documentaries such as Lahal Dahar and Jumri Talayase, both exploring the rich cultural tapestry of Santhali communities in the realm of fiction. His creation, like There Is Nothing New in This Film and Remains and Sondhayni, showcase his versatility as a filmmaker. Rava, a poignant fiction piece, had the honor of being screened at prestigious film festivals in Canada and Australia, while Rus, a documentary in Marathi, made its mark at the Intimate Lens Documentary Film Festival in Italy. Acknowledged for his excellence in filmmaking, Seral's work has been recognized with accolades including the Best Short Film Fiction Award for Sondhayni at the DMCS National Short Film Festival held at the National Film Archive of India, Pune. Looking forward, Seral Murmu has an exciting lineup of projects in the pipeline with 3 documentaries currently in its production stage and feature-length Santali film scheduled for shooting in 2024. As a filmmaker deeply rooted in his cultural context and driven by a desire to amplify marginalized voices, Seral Murmu continues to contribute significantly to the world of cinema. So welcome Seral to the Thinker's Corner.
Thank you and Johar everybody, and thank you for inviting me to this meeting so that I can express my views and tell people stories about what is happening in Santali cinema and what all works we are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely we'll talk about your work and everything. So Johar to you and everyone out there. So let's start our kind of conversation with your journey into filmmaking, particularly what inspired you to kind of use filmmaking as a medium to convey the consequences of environmental harm and societal misrepresentation that you always kind of talk about.
When I actually started into this filmmaking, I joined St. Xavier's mass communication in Ranchi. I met Biju and Meghnath there. And Biju and Meghnath were already making documentary filmmakers. They are veterans, kind of from central India. And Biju Topo is one of the first tribal filmmakers who's kind of telling his stories through his camera with his small budgeted with the help of his organization Akhada. So when I met them, I was a film buff already, but the thing is, I wasn't knowing that I didn't have this courage of thinking of making a film. I was a film buff. I used to read about film. I used to see films. I used to visit the libraries, read books, read about films and all. But it was all about filmmaking, its technique, yeah, the kind of genre, what kind of filmmakers are there, and which country are producing which kind of films. But this sense of kind of giving me this political motive of making cinema and how. it is kind of this influences the kind of society cinema. This came from Akhada, the organization which kind of it honed me actually. And when I started meeting them, I kind of come to know about world cinema and the types of cinema which has kind of uh, bring about some changes in society, or the viewpoints, and also challenge the what we say the authorities through cinema. So I was kind of interested the way the cinema kind of it opened up the whole different world for me, and also the prospect of cinema which can be made in Jharkhand also. So this is how I started making films, and this is kind of Akhra. I can say it's mostly Akhra which told me and the kind of how to see cinema, and also kind of see the whole politics of what cinema, why cinema, and how to tell people, and how to reach out people, yeah, audience, yeah.
Yeah. So also, like I remember you were talking in some other kind of a platform about how you were like mostly into Bollywood filmmaking, and you were like too much kind of you had a lot of interest in all those kind of filmmaking, and you also went to Mumbai to pursue your career in those kind of filmmaking, which we generally see in our mainstream. So what made you kind of switch from and kind of left that space and to be kind of become an independent filmmaker?
Yeah, I think not only me, it is the whole generation which we kind of, the kind of cinema we were exposed to through Doordarshan, and later on through other private channels, Z, and also the kind of films we are exposed to in a small town. So naturally, we were kind of more into the glamour part of cinema, the hero, heroine, and all these things. So yes, we were, and till I joined St. Xavier's mass communication, until I met Meghnath and Biju, I was a film buff, and I kind of I was seeing about 5 films, 6 films a week. So the thing is, naturally, I have this, kind of some inclination towards, everybody naturally will have this inclination towards this kind of cinema, the Bollywood kind of cinema. But this also, what happened is, deep down inside, I also had this feeling uh, when kind of the tribal were shown on the TV. I used to remember there was a song from film Shalimar starring Dharmendra, and there was a song called Hum Be Fire, and in between there some tribal people or indigenous people will come and they will just do Jhingalala Horja, and also the type of representation which you get in popular cinema was very disturbing. So this matlab also kind of confirms type of idea of how the tribal life and how they live for the outer world, the other community, and this also kind of disturbing for me. So yeah, naturally, and what happened is, when I went to Akhada, I was not I was there as an intern there, and I was invited by Meghnath and Biju. Since they saw me, I was very much interested. I was reading about cinema. I was daily a film buff. They invited me to Accra, and there they used to have a huge library of cinema, world cinema. And so there I later on came to know about the kind of films are being made in kind of other parts of the country, like Iranian cinema, Italian neorealism, and all. And from there I could get a sense of, yeah, the kind of people, kind of cinema which is being made in Ranchi and in and around Jharkhand. uh, it gave me a strength actually, that you can make a film from a small budget. So this way, kind of it gives me this exposure to world cinema and the kind of film we others are making. It got me free from this idea that film should be big budgeted, and it should have heroes and that type of typical hero narrative films. So I was completely out of that, and I was, yeah, thinking about.
Yeah. So yeah, like you about how Accra like basically kind of gave you strength to talk about your people through the filmmaking, and also adding to this kind of discussion, I just want to talk about how you like your time in Film and Television Institute of India, FTII, and kind of the experience and the lessons that you have kind of learned there significantly impacted your approach of filmmaking? How like you see it?
See, the difference which I see after joining FTI, I was politically aware after my 2 year stint at Akhada. But the kind of films we were making were completely political, and it was very politically charged, and they were all documentaries. So I had the sense of this reality thing, realism thing. So when I went to FTI, I remember talking to one of my senior, a very respected senior of ours. We're talking about how literature shapes, cinema. So I was a kind of, uh, there was a curiosity. I was sitting and I was telling him that how can I make cinema when I don't have any literature, written literature of any sort of in our community, because we come from a tribal community and we don't have what we say written text or anything like that. We whatever things are there in oral. And then yeah, we were discussing and he was very interested. No, you have a sea of literature which is not written, but you have oral literature which you have myths, you have songs and many stories which are oral. You have to go down search for all the stories which are orally there, and you have to talk to kind of your elders, document the stories and document songs, and those are the carriers of the knowledge and all. So I was kind of, yeah, then realized it is actually very important for us to know deep go deep more into the myths which are there in a community, the songs which we with the elders sing, and all the hymns which we use during the prayers and all. So those oral things are kind of the literature for us. And that is what I think. And when I was making film in institute, I remember, kind of taking codes, stories from myths, and kind of mixing them with the real issues, what is happening in and around, tribal issues in central of India and other parts also. So I was kind of, mixing all those myths and stories which were happening, and you know, and creating a story out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically FTI kind of had a huge impact on your film style as well, and where you actually discover the different elements from your kind of cultural history of your community and the larger tribal community as well. So like
Yeah.
also you talk about that how the myths and all were there, but it was not in the written form but in the oral and rich history form basically. So if I talk about your film Sondhayni, which also earned you the best script award at the Dhaka International Festival. So can you tell us more about the film and the socio-political issues it addresses?
Well, interestingly, what happened is, when I was writing the story about the Sondhayni, there was a huge protest going on in Jharkhand, in a place named Khoti. It's a movement called Pathargadi movement,
Yeah.
and Pathargadi is basically what we say. It's a we bury a tombstone, and uh, it's like a patta for us. Those who don't have the
Right.
land document with them, so it's what we say, document for them that this land belongs to us and this is our land. So we the owner of this particular area. So this has been going traditionally for many thousand years. So what happened in Kunti, interestingly, was this movement, Pathargari movement, was actually kind of what we say. Uh, uh, it was negatively portrayed in media and all, and there were people protesting against it, and there were many where we say protest, and the police personnel went into a village and they kind of beat up the whole village. I think two, three of them also died because the firing also. And one of my reporter friend, journalist friend, was also. It was not. We were not sure how what happened to him, but he was actually killed during this whole movement. And when I was sitting and writing this story, I was sitting in Pune, and I was getting all those news. So it was very difficult for me personally to kind of detach myself, when you're writing a story, and detach yourself from all those things which are happening to your friends and families and tribe members. So naturally, when I was writing, all those things and myths and all things came when I was writing. And uh, yeah, and the story revolves around some people going into a forest, and they kind of wanting to take control of the forest. And there is a old lady who was kind of telling them not to do any harm to the forest, or the forest will, and you have to pay back for what you're doing inside the forest. So this is, and what happened interestingly is I was seeing another film. I think it was from it was an Argentine film. I don't remember, from South America. It was a film basically about the myth and something like that. But that film was not speaking much about what the present scenario is. So I thought, why not to mix these stories, the myths, with the things happening now at present in Jharkhand with the Pathalgari movement and all. So, like you said in the earlier question, that how did it change you when you joined the FTI? The thing is, when I was in Ranchi before, I could have made a documentary out of this whole Pathalgari movement, which will be very on the face and all. So when I am FTI, I kind of have this liberty. I learned how to gel all the stories, and not you kind of tell the stories on the face, but mix it with myths, and also that it is much more presentable, and also kind of a bit playful. The film is much more playfulness in that case, but it's talking to much larger audience. Yeah.
Like beyond entertainment, like you view filmmaking as a kind of powerful tool to narrate untold stories. So like how do you choose the subjects of your film, and what impact do you hope to achieve with your story? As you already talk about so many things about how you choose your film, like through myths and oral history and about your rich culture of your community, but if anything you want to add on to this,
Uh,
like the process of kind of choosing and kind of drafting the stories and narrating through your filmmaking, the overall process.
uh, well, the thing is, jokingly, what my guru Meghnath and Biju Topp, when I left for Ranchi, left for Pune FTI Film School, they told me this thing, that you have all the content with you. Now you have going to Pune to just create a form for yourself. So I think all my political understanding, and the things which were happening, all the awareness about all the tribal issues and all the social issues. Uh, I'm, I think every filmmaker is a political, personal personality. So for me, I think it is very difficult for me to actually, when I'm talking about cinema, making films, and not talking about society, is very difficult. So it is inherent that when whatever I'm making, so it will be the things happening in and around me will be there. And also, what I think is, as a filmmaker, it is our responsibility, because me being at FTI is a privilege for me. It's a certain kind of privilege for me, that not everybody is reaching to that point. So when I am there, it is my responsibility as a filmmaker to tell my stories. Uh, all the representation we have to count. It is my responsibility to counter all those misrepresentation which is happening till now in Indian cinema. And uh, and also, uh, yeah, these are the things actually which I think is, it kinds of forces me to tell my story.
Your dedication to that authentic tribal representation is evident in your work and through your film as well. So, how do you see your role as a filmmaker in preserving and promoting the rich cultural heritage of the tribal communities? And also, like, what impact do you hope to achieve through your storytelling?
Uh, See, the thing is, cinema itself, that it is very important in, kind of preserving the whole, what we say. I can give you one example about this. This UNESCO report about endangered language, Santali is not in the list of the endangered languages, but all the other tribal languages are there. But now what I'm seeing is languages like Ho and I think also Mundari and Kuruk. I'm seeing people are making films and they're releasing their songs on YouTube and all. So now we have this kind of what we say awareness that we should know our languages, the fun and sweetness of knowing your language and speaking your language, and also preserving your culture and tradition and all. So it is kind of, yeah, from that way I can see this thing that how important cinema or this medium can be in preserving the language and also the culture tradition of a particular community. And my effort is always kind of showing the what we say, uh, I shouldn't use this purest word, but what we say, whenever I'm showing, I try to be more kind of
Realistic.
realistic in approach of how we dress up and how we speak our languages, and be not very much influenced by what the things which there is also kind of languages dialect which is forming in Santali also, which is quite very kind of sketchy,
Mhm.
but I try to kind of portray things which are true to their culture and language much more real and
Yeah. So,
yeah.
like in a way, you try to kind of deconstruct all the kind of stereotype that is kind of there in the popular visual medium.
Visual medium, yeah.
Yeah, so through your filmmaking and through your different kind of collaboration and kind of
Yeah,
engagement.
it is
Yeah.
also important when I always give this example. I don't know who the filmmaker was,
Hmm.
but it was a film from, I think it was a diploma in SRFTI.
Hmm.
I'm forgetting the name of that film, but I remember it was about a couple, and the hero, the protagonist, he's a drunkard, and they're talking in Santali, and he comes from work and he beats his wife. So when we and few of my friends were watching this film, and we were kind of, yeah, you are making a film in such a big platform, and that film will be preserved in your world for long, in your SRFTI film, yeah, vault, and you were given this opportunity to present tribal community, and you showed him a drunkard.
A bad
So
light, yeah.
yeah, bad light. So I can we were talking last few days. I remember I and Niranjan and few other filmmakers, we were talking that you won't find anybody wearing leather,
Hmm.
thing to the
Yeah.
body whenever a tribal filmmaker is making a film, but you'll find it when other people from other communities are making films. So this is kind of, we have this idea of tribal, how they live and how they dress up. So
Hmm.
we have this responsibility also to kind of, how to inform others, and also not to inform others but to deconstruct things, the very idea of how tribal live and their philosophy of life. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, filmmaking is not a very kind of a work that we can do very kind of vaguely and something for just for the entertainment. It's a very
Yeah.
responsive medium
Yeah,
as well.
people do that, but it has this far consequences. And we
Yeah.
whatever films are being made now at that this point of time, this will be historically seen later on, and this will be kind of a documentation for people who will be seeing this film after maybe 25 to 50 years. So it is our responsibility to how we are showing our people, and how, kind of uh, a representation you are giving. You're representing certain kind of yeah.
So like also you were talking about the how it is important to know about the history, the real kind of the notions of the society. So I always ask to so many other filmmaker as well that how, do you think that it is very important for a filmmaker to know the history and also to kind of come from that same community basically? If you are a tribal and making films on the tribals, would it make a difference in the filmmaking?
Definitely, definitely. I tell you one, yeah, the thing is, when we were in school, we were never thought about our heroes, our legends, and the historical figures who were fighting for the land, for their people against the British. So I used to think, where were our legends, where are our ancestors? Are they sleeping? No, they are not sleeping. They were not sleeping. And I also, used to hear about Hul, Santhal Hul, the great leader of Santhal Hul, Sidho Kanu, Chand Bhairav, two sisters, Fulo Jano Murmu, and also about Birsa Munda is quite popular. So the thing is, we were never, now I can say 15, 20 years we are kind of, in newspapers, in textbooks, but 15, 20 years we weren't in any textbook. And also there are many legendary people who have given the life for, society, and also done tremendous work, but you will never hear their stories, and kind of we are never mentioned in our Indian history. So now when we are in this position to kind of tell our stories through cinema, it is our responsibility now, I think, is to create and tell our stories, and stories about our legends, and our ancestors who have, done very important work for society. And yeah.
So like moving ahead, I just want to know that how like your ongoing documentary project as well in collaboration with the Tribal Research Institute. So can you share some insight into these projects and the goals you aim to kind of achieve through them? Like,
uh, Now, Tribal Research Institute have been functioning for very long, and it is, I think, now the director is a novelist himself, a very good writer, Mr. Ranendra Kumar. Now, I've been given this project to document um uh, all the birth, marriage, and death rituals of primitive tribe Asur and Malpahariya. So Asur primitive tribe, you can, though they reside on this area of Netarhat, and Malpahariya on the, Santala Pargana region. So our responsibility is to give a video documentation of their cultures and their rituals, and to preserve them so that it can be used later on as a historical document, and also preserve them so that it can be reference for their generation, coming generation also, who can see those materials and understand and read about what and how we were. And one documentary I recently completed was about Santali cinema history. It was funded by Indian Foundation of Arts, Bangalore, and I was supposed to make a list of films which have been made till now, and also the prominent filmmakers who have worked till now. It's not a very, kind of, it is also, it is only about 25, 30 years Santali films are being made. uh, but now at present, if we are in a situation when we are in a kind of era where about 30, 40 feature films are made every year in three different states of Odisha, West Bengal, and Jharkhand. My was a documentary filmmaker, and documenting all those stories about how film people came into cinema through Jatra, what we call it, popular, theater.
you're talking about the Tribal Research Institute and your collaboration with them and all. So, like is there any kind of a film industry like based in Jharkhand about the tribal film industry or something?
Uh, we uh, we call it Santali industry here, but it's not actually the so-called industry. It is still, kind of people who are making films in West Bengal. Those films are kind of, yet to come here to my place, and films which are being made here are kind of, not going outside of this state also. So we don't have this distribution chain with us till now. So when we call it as an industry is a kind of a word where you have everything, sorted out, all the market and all. So we are yet to do that. We are still in a process. But the good thing is, wherever the films are being made, we have, organically made a kind of channel where there are certain, brokers who we give our film to them, and they show those films with, their cut. Uh, so we have this thing, and the problem here is we don't have single screen theaters or theaters where we can show our film in rural areas. So what is happening now in India is all the cinema theaters, you can only find them in town or cities, where people from my community have this, kind of, they don't go, you won't find them there in the cities and towns. They are mostly populated here in the rural areas. So it is impossible to kind of screen a Santali film in town and cities where people will not be coming. So now what is happening is, all the village fairs and the night gathering which used to happen earlier. So all those night gathering have converted into film shows now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, villagers, if there is any occasion, or the villagers inform the filmmaker that we want to show our film there, or also if the filmmaker is interested to show his film in certain village or certain gathering, he kind of contacts the villagers, and they deal upon how much percentage the organizer will keep and how much the filmmakers will keep. So this kind of shows now are quite popular in Jharkhand. Also, my place Jamshedpur, and also in Dumka and other part of West Bengal and Odisha also. So this I'm seeing that people are earning. They are getting their returns very well now. So we are trying to create what we say, a channel and mini theaters in different part of, rural areas where we can show our films, and so that we can get enough what we say, theaters and views, so that our, people who are funding our film get the returns, and many more, kind of producers come along and invest money on our films.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very kind of interesting way to kind of, and also good way to kind of showcase your film to all this gathering and small kind of a festivals as well. So also like you had kind of you still have must be having a plan of initiating a tribal film festival. So like, do you think that it would have some kind of a positive impact on providing some kind of a democratic platform for diverse voices within the tribal communities? And have
Well,
you still organized any festival like this?
we are yet to do that. One of our friend in Odisha, Baripada, is already doing that. I think, he organizes a small short film festival at Baripada. Uh, it is his sixth year, and he is doing very well. And this year, I don't know, for some reason he is not able to do, but we are in talk, and he's saying that it will happen next year. The thing is, why we think festival is very important, because, like I said, it is very difficult to get screens and spaces where we can show our films, and especially for short film, it is very difficult. Not everybody is very, you know, keen to go to YouTube, and not everybody will have this, the mobile phones and see the films. Uh, so our what effort is to make a film festival where people can show their film, and talk about the film. And many a times what is happening is we are showing our film and there is no dialogue between a filmmaker and the audience. So this platform which we will be creating will have this open dialogue and what we say with the filmmakers, and this will tend to give them some responsibility to come. And when somebody is asking a filmmaker, why did you do such thing and why did you make such films, and the filmmaker has to answer its audience. So whenever uh, this situation comes, the filmmaker will have this responsibility while making a film, that we have to be answerable to our society and our people with what we are making. And also with we have seen with other festivals and all, there are certain workshops which are being kind of happening.